All right, so what is the Sarasota Underground? The Sarasota Underground is essentially an open source media company. We have three primary objectives, specifically to amplify the voice of area young professionals, to empower creative entrepreneurs, and to drive local commerce. And so to sum it up real nicely, that's it. Open source media company, think maybe digital chamber of commerce, right? If you're trying to understand essentially where we're headed. And those are the three goals, right? Voice of young professionals, we want to amplify that, boost that up. Empower creative entrepreneurs, we think there's a lot of creativity, lots of people trying to build cool things here in this town. So we want to help them get off the ground and make some noise, help businesses break into that online sphere, become relevant digitally. And then third, drive local commerce. Everybody's trying to figure out interesting ways to drive local commerce. You got big competition from national players online. You got people spending a lot of money in advertising. It's becoming even more difficult for local businesses to compete in that space. And so we are trying to address some of those issues through new media here locally. Well, and the idea is that we're not telling Sarasota news, right? We're not a news organization, right? So we might help you put some of the local news in context. And we might help you try to understand some of the things that are going on in Sarasota. But to say that we're a Sarasota news organization would kind of be overstating what we're trying to do. We're building this because, first of all, we think that our demographic doesn't have necessarily a strong enough voice in the media. And we think that it needs some amplification. We got a weak signal, so we need to plug that into an amplifier and crank that up. Because we think we're kind of being ignored a little bit in some of the media. And I don't know, some of them do a better job than others in covering our demographic and our storyline and things we're trying to do, but we think that could be better.
And cover things in a new, modern, interesting way that engages the audience, which I think, I'm sorry, I'm not going to call anyone out specifically, but a lot of stuff around is kind of flat. It's not.
Well, it's like the food, right? They make it for everyone. You got to add your own salt, right? Because they don't want to piss somebody off with a little too much flavor. The old people can't have a little salt, Now I'm trying to have some flavor.
There is no salt in this damn town, I swear.
So we're going to bring some salt, put a little salt on Sarasota.
That's a perfect analogy. I can't get any salt in any soup I order in this whole town. Like, you know what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, and so that's it. We're going to bring the salt, baby. That should be that's the slogan. It's going to be like, bring the salt. Sarasota Underground. Oh, man.
So that's why.
That's part of the why, right? There's more why.
I guess connecting.
Right? Yeah, Sarasota is so fragmented. So, if we're talking about Sarasota's made up of lots of people that came from different parts of the country. And so everybody's in their own little silo. And they find their little group, they connect with some friends, they got their business, their coworkers, whatever, and next thing you know, you're just in that little bubble. And unless you are involved with networking groups, or unless you're really active, or unless you don't push yourself to get outside of those groups. And so Sarasota becomes this city that's just built by all these little silos, and you got rich money silos, you got, the hippie silos, you got the artist silos, you got the entrepreneur silos, you got the technology silos, and it's just they're all just weird.
And there's a lot of really good, capable, amazing people in all these different groups, and they're just not connected in any real way or helping each other, and a lot of good things that can come out of connecting people.
And so often they're all working towards the same thing. It's literally you look at their agendas and it's do this, and the other one's oh, we're doing the exact same thing. That's weird. It's
that overlap, a lot of overlap between different groups and organizations who could come together and do a lot.
Yeah.
They just do so much more together combined.
And they're sitting there wondering how come we can't get more members? And it's well, because you're doing things that's not inclusive, right? You're doing things that are just about you. If you did things that were about other people, then other people might get involved. And so that's what this is. We're going to invite all of you, to join us and get involved in all this, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, and one last comment on that is a lot of people who come into Sarasota from all over the place. I mean, we've got people from all over the U.S., all over the world. It's a beautiful destination.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous here. And so that's a big draw. And then even these people, a lot of people we met out interviewing people, people from California, people from, I can't really seem to find a place where I can find what's going on, how I can plug into things.
Yeah.
It's harder than it needs to be. So we're trying to alleviate some of that. Okay, we want to be a place for people to come together and connect and find what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, we think Sarasota's a young town. I mean, to be honest, I think Sarasota's a teenager trying to figure out who it's going to be when it grows up, right? And we want to help shape that. And I think it becomes imperative. It becomes something that we have to do right now, because the town is also going through a transition. You know, there's some changes being made right now. There's some growth happening right now. We're coming out of you know, an economic recession, and things are starting to move again. And so it becomes important for us to, at this point, come together and organize, right? And so that's another problem, is that another one of the reasons why we're building this is that we don't think that there's anything for us to get excited about, for our age demographic to get excited about in the media, in the local elections and city politics and any of that stuff. There's nobody that represents anything that we'd be like, yeah, that guy, you know?
But it's ripe for opportunity, and for that to make a difference and make that impact, you know, via connecting all these people and saying, okay, we collectively have a stronger voice, you know, and try to do positive things here. Try to bring out all those cool and interesting, you know, events, people,
well, just look
making things happen.
Look what happened with Uber, right?
Yeah, we saw that happen. We were
Sarasota
there.
tried to step up and shut Uber down, and over the course of a couple months, a lot of organization, and Uber obviously has a marketing machine. We're not trying to take credit for anything that Uber did. But it should be a sign that at least the resources are here and that they can be mobilized, because that's what Uber did. They just mobilized local people and they said, hey, if you guys like Uber, you better show up. And so if you like a better town for Sarasota, if you want some of the things that we sit around and complain so often about as young people in this town, if you want some of those things, this is your opportunity to start making sure that the people who are controlling those processes right now, that they understand that we're here to change that up. We're going to shake things up, right?
We saw people show up. We were there. I mean, it was packed in there.
Yes.
And it made a huge difference on the decision, like, makers, how you could just feel it.
Well, they said it. If you watch the video, you can even talk about, you can hear Susan Chapman.
Video, you can even go.
You can hear Susan Chapman talking about, you know, we got the emails, the overwhelming, you know, like you spoke out overwhelmingly. She was talking to the community. And so the community spoke out. And so there is opportunity for us to make change and to do things. And the problem is we don't show up to vote. We don't get involved in the city politics. We don't get involved in county politics. We have no idea what's going on or how these issues actually affect us here in this town. You know, people don't know that there's not affordable housing because there's density issues, and that zoning has to be changed in order for that to change. It's not just that, you know, we can't build it. It's that they're not allowed to build it. It's not economically viable for developers to come in and build that because they cannot get the density needed to build those types of units. And then in the places where they did get that zoning, those things they were not held to those density standards, right? Those density requirements. And so we've just got to hold people accountable. We have to hold the city accountable. And the only way to do that is to create a outlet that gives us a voice to do that. And so that's part of what this is.
Yeah.
That's part of what we're trying to do, is to get out there and make sure that the things that we want to have happen in this town at least have a chance of happening, you know? At least have a chance, right?
And we want to make it easy and accessible for people to do that and jump in and be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, it's not hard, it's just jump in. And that first starts with, you know, signing up and registering, and then just seeing a lot of the things that we're trying to make happen, or the initiatives, and people in the community that want to make happen.
That's perfect, because that's actually the last step here, was how do people get involved? Because that's the next step, right? They're like, what is it? Why are you building it? And then the last step is, how do we get involved? And go to SarasotaUnderground.com, you know, click the register link at the top, right in the navigation, just click register, fill out that form. It's just literally a name, email, and tell us how you want to get involved. And that's it. Join us in Slack. We have a chat room where literally all of our day-to-day communications are happening in this chat forum, if you will. If you're not familiar with Slack, you can check it out.
Live chat, it's great.
Yeah, it's easy to use. Literally all of our internal leadership structure is open in there. Our communication structure is open inside of there. Imagine if the Herald Tribune, if the Observer Group, if ABC7, if they just said, hey guys, you could be on the inside of what we're doing. That's what you have an opportunity to do. Obviously, we're not the size of any of those organizations right now, and I don't know that we ever necessarily will be, but this is your opportunity to have a say in a local media organization that's trying to do something different, trying to tell a unique Sarasota story. And so there's no more excuse for people to be like, oh, we don't have a place. There isn't a place. There is a place. There's now a place. We're the place. This is the place. Welcome to the Sarasota Underground.
I think that's it, man.
Yeah. What I'd like to do is while we have this momentum and while we're rolling is just a welcome. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.